are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
Perfect. What's up, you hippies? Hey, welcome back to another episode. Hopefully you remember the buildup that happened a week ago. Well, I'm excited to tell you it was well worth the wait. Today we have the star-studded guest that we teased out, Lena. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction formally for you. But if you're new to us, if you're new to our show, hey, we're the Professional Hippies. I'm Colton. Dylon will be joining us in a little bit. And what we like to focus on our platform is if you're a professional, whether that means investing in the stock market or invested in your growth personally, professionally, we talk about some of that stuff. If you're more of a hippie, whatever that means for you, talking about the woo-woo, we'll get into some of that stuff. And Lena, when I reached out in our group, one of the things I was so excited about you responding to is because I feel like you are the quintessential perfect embodiment of living between the two. Okay. So if I may, I would love to do like a little bit of a formal introduction to give our audience kind of an idea of who we're working with here. And so what you sent over, I loved. I didn't even feel the need to change anything. So she's a coach, an entrepreneur, founder of Rooted Humans, Raising Humans, and Entrepreneurs DMV, with over a decade of experience building businesses, including opening her first, how do we pronounce this? Kumon? Got it. Kumon Center at age 26, just 26. Lena now helps others strip back the noise, reconnect to their inner truth, and lead from a place of grounded clarity. Known for her direct, no fluff style, balanced with deep intuition, she creates spaces where big thinkers can slow down, reflect, and create from alignment. I'm going to say that has nothing to do with what we were talking about just moments before we got on the air. Not that kind of slowing down, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Whether she's guiding a transformational retreat or facilitating a real talk networking event, Lena brings both strategy and soul to everything she does. And I can vouch for that. So, hey, without further ado, what's what? What's good, homie? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me here. I'm so excited to talk to you. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. So, yeah, I think the last time we really got to connect was in Scottsdale, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it seems like a few things have happened since then, at least from what I'm catching from the periphery. So, like, transformations coming at you fast or slow, somewhere in the medium? Like, what's been going on since we connected in Scottsdale?
I feel like I've done a lot of cutting things out in my life. Like I just kind of over the past, so Scottsdale was what, like August, September, I feel like?
Forever ago and yesterday.
Yeah. And so like winter time, I really slowed down and really like let go of a lot of things in my life. Closed a company and just felt really aligned and like slowing down and not knowing what's next and being okay with that. Going with the flow, like really flowing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran a retreat in February in Sedona, which was phenomenal. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done. That's pretty much it, I feel like.
What drew you to Sedona for that retreat?
What?
What drew you to Sedona for that retreat? Why Sedona?
Because it's a very magical woo-woo place. Like it's got really good energy. And the retreat was meant to be very for ladies trying to explore being in their feminine. So it was like the mountains needed to like hold in the masculine that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Going right into the woo-woo.
I mean, it sounds like a place Dylon should have been anyway. So, no, I love Sedona. The reason I asked that is because arguably one of the most life-changing decisions I ever made came from Sedona. So, like, I feel like that's a very magical place and a ton of energy. So you did a retreat there. What's that?
Tell us more.
About the decision?
Yeah. No, you're just going to like sprinkle that in there and then like, I'm just
this is about you, man. It's not about me.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, fair enough. So I went there. You familiar with Aubrey Marcus and the Fit for Service?
The name sounds really familiar. Maybe.
Okay. So probably a lot of overlap in our audience and his audience with like professional woo-woo type stuff. And he had a program called Fit for Service. I did it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, something like that. It ran in trimester, maybe a year. I don't remember how long I did it for. But one of the retreats was in Sedona. I go there, and my wife and I, at the time, we were just really close friends. Some romance had started to bud, and she'd moved to Austin, Texas. I go to Sedona, and we did at one point in the retreat like a 4-5 hour soul quest in the desert. And so you just kind of like hike out into the desert by yourself, given some prompts from this medicine woman, and just meditate with yourself, seeking guidance from the universe and stuff. And so, skipping over some of the particulars, I found a spot that was covered in quartz crystals, and I was like, hey, this is a pretty cool place to meditate. And just came through me a really big download of, with this woman that I felt like was so incredibly special, that there's a lot of moments in my life where I played small when I wanted to play big, and I decided to play small. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this one get away. So I called her leaving the retreat, and I was like, you know what? I'd spent the week prior in Austin, Texas, hanging out with her, going to Sedona. I was like, how do you feel about me rerouting my plane to come back to Austin? She was stoked. I was stoked. Landed at the airport, called my sister, and I was like, hey, I think this is the one. She was like, are you sure? You sound kind of crazy. And I called a realtor that week, and I was like, hey, I'm going to be in Austin for a week. You got a week to find me a house. I bought a house that week, and the next month after that, I moved to Austin and sold my house in Tampa. So,
and then you played big again when you guys moved to Colorado. So,
oh God, yeah, that one was
which again was like a choice you made in Arizona. So,
stay away from Arizona.
basically.
Arizona became expensive trips.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been crazy, but I mean, again, maybe deflecting or steering this back to you, it sounds like you've been going through a lot of transformation yourself. Like, what's been prompting? I know in Scottsdale, I was at least privy a little bit to the conversation of you wanting to like close down or transfer the business, exit in some form or fashion.
So I'm still working to sell that.
Okay.
Another thing that I forgot to mention is I've really been heavy into breathwork lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been doing a training that should be over soon. Just like diving headfirst into what breathwork is and how to do it, and that's been really freaking crazy.
What got you into breathwork?
I did a breathwork session one time with this guy, Vitality, with a W, I think.
Uh-huh.
And all of his ads have people looking like they're getting exercised. Like they're like fucking crying, screaming. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I'll sign up for this thing. And so we're in this room, probably like 200 people. You bring a blindfold, you bring a mat, and he takes you through this experience. And it was so loud. And I put my blindfold on, and it was crazy because all of these people are like screaming at the top of their lungs. Like it's like this like shrill, like, ah, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, are they getting murdered? I don't know, because I have a blindfold on. So I'm just going to sit here and breathe and just trust this process.
Right.
So that was my first experience ever with breathwork. And then
little like everyone else is smoking DMT and you're just breathing.
Like, I don't know, I'm the only one not. But it was crazy because at some point he had us put our hands up and like feel the energy in the room and like take it and put it down on our body with like a place that we feel needs healing. And like when I put my hands up, like I definitely could feel something. So I was like, this is really weird, like a very weird experience to have. And I left, and it was like, I felt very weird about it. And then probably like a year and a half later, I wanted to do a journey with this lady. And she said, prior to doing that, I have to do a breathwork thing so that like I can get a feel for her and see if it's a good fit, because she's very woo-woo. And so like very tribal, like, and so I did that with her, and then she's leading this training and was like, I think you'd be a really good fit to do this training. And I was like, why the fuck not? So that's kind of how I got into breathwork. I just kind of like stumbled in there, and here I am.
Is it training for you to like become a facilitator?
So part one was the mastery of breath, which was like me learning about my own breathing and like what I like and going through a bunch of patterns and experiences. And now I'm in part two, which is how to lead.
Dylon, have you done breath work since we did it at that music festival?
Well, I was actually just thinking, I remember the first time I think I did it was actually high school. And I remember I was like hand on my knees, running out of my breath, and my coach is just yelling, "In through your nose, out through your mouth." That's it. That's I think the first time I remember doing my first breath work and almost dying. So, but then after that, after high school, it wasn't until we were at a little music festival, and Colton and I were going. We found out this festival did not sleep. Most festivals don't sleep. This one in particular just was always alive. So, we were probably on day 2, and Colton's like, you know what, we probably should just do some breath work, darken the room. And that was a nice little trippy experience for sure doing that. That was kind of like my first time, realizing like, oh, breath work can definitely have a psychedelic experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was like the ideal conditions to introduce somebody. I don't know. I mean, it's air.
It was a
right?
break.
Like,
It was a break that we needed, and it definitely worked out.
yeah. But I would say, Lena, have you done like psychedelics or anything like that before?
Yeah.
How would you compare the experiences, at least for yourself?
I feel like you're a little bit more in control and a little bit more grounded. But at the same time, like when you're coming back from a breathwork session, it feels very similar where you're like, I don't know where I am. I don't really know who's next to me. Like I know that there's people next to me. I don't know how far they are. And I feel like you reach the state of like not knowing where you are. So for me, I think they feel very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And for me, like the only caveat that I would add is that I've felt like sometimes the experiences are more intense
With breath work?
Yeah.
Really?
For me, at least. I mean, I've only had a couple experiences, and granted, that was like, I'm going to grab this tiger's tail type of thing, where I knew going in, I'm going to try and get as deep as I can get, especially with so you said your instructor or facilitator said, put your hands up, right? Like at some point there was like a prompt of put your hands up. My facilitator at one point was like, hey, if you're really trying to go deep, when you're hyperoxygenating your system, like you might get some like cramps.
Yeah. So you get the claw hands.
Oh, dude, I was full on crab, like full crabbed up lobster attack, and those that know, right? So, yeah, I think those two experiences, like that was super, super intense. But knowing that like I'm creating this, I think is the difference maker for me. Like you take a substance and you're like, what's going on, right? You got to like let go. Like that's the prompt of like let go. Whereas breath work, like you have to earn it. So like you're like, I'm doing this to me. It's just a distinctly different experience, I felt like.
Totally agree. I feel like too there's a level of like, for me at least, so whenever we do like when they guide us through a session, they always talk about how breath does what it needs to do. And so every experience is going to be different. And so you just have to trust that, like, if you fall asleep, you were meant to fall asleep. If you have a journey, you were meant to have a journey. And if you don't, like, it doesn't mean that it didn't work. It's doing what you need, and you just need to trust that. And so I feel like there were times where I've been frustrated where like the person next to me is crying and distracting me and I can't get deep like I want to. And I'm like, fuck, like I really wanted to have a journey. What the hell? And you just kind of have to trust that that's what was meant for you and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think too, it connects you to music really, really well too. I don't know.
Now, are these like when you're going to them, right? Like you said, a room full of 200 people. I mean, most people are probably getting something out of it and having an awesome time. As in anything, though, there's going to be people that want the attention and like show off. Like, did you notice that at those at all? Or like, is everyone for sure, all too hard? Not saying that most people probably are, but what I'm saying is there's definitely people in groups that are like, I'm breathing in more oxygen than everybody.
I mean, I don't really know. So I've only been to the large one once. Everything that I've done since has been very small group, like maybe 10 people. And so in those cases, I don't feel like people have been trying to show off. But there are times where like people are really, really vocal and it's really distracting. And they're just like, and you're just like, fuck, like, can you not?
Trying to bring in oxygen, not your carbon. Like, give me.
Exactly.
How did
That's
it
so
connect
funny.
you? How did it connect you to like closer to music too? That's interesting.
They're playing a playlist. And I think that's the coolest part about the facilitation side of things is like you're taking people on a musical journey. And the way that they curate every song is based off of like, you'll have like a very chill in song. And then when you reach the peak, there's like a peak song. And they do a lot of songs that have like drums, like tribal drums. So it's almost like you can like really you get lost in the beat so much that I think it really takes you far because of the fact that you're like linked in to the beat of the drum and you're just like, yes, like I'm breathing with this and it's crazy. And then at the very end too, like once the work part of the breath work is done, you just kind of lay there and breathe how you want to. And that's when you really kind of go into outer space. That part too, like this one that we did a long time ago had like you first had water and you heard water and then you heard wood and then you heard fire, and so it was like taking you through all of the elements, and kind of what you saw and what you felt was so much reflective of what you heard. So like I really feel like I hear every little piece of the music, every beat, every vocal so much deeper.
Do you think like music in the background is better, or I've started seeing? I even have some friends started getting into it more of like the sound baths.
I think both.
Both. Interesting. Okay. That'd be interesting. Like if, like you were saying, it gets like softer and more intense. I can imagine like music's easy, but like a sound bath, they're just like trying to get it going. Getting crazy in here.
Breathe in.
Then the
Breathe
gong.
out.
Yeah. The ohms going like faster, faster. Oh. I think I totally forgot too about the screaming people. To your point, Dylan, I mean, I've been a part of maybe like 4 or 5 like bigger gatherings. I don't know that anyone's intentionally trying to be like performative in nature.
Mhm.
I think some people are just loud as fuck and just
comes out at that time. Yeah, as anything would at that time. Yeah.
I think there's a part of it for me too where like I didn't let myself like when I first started breathing, I'm not going to be the one to go right? Like I'm going to breathe really, really quietly because I've always been a very quiet person. Like just like as a child, you're taught to be quiet. And so it's almost like when you hear those people do that, you're like, how could you do that? But that's because there's a part of me that I don't let do that. And so I think as I've gotten more okay with making noises, it's been less jarring.
For sure. Lion's breath is always a tough one for me in yoga. I don't know why. Everyone's doing it in unison, but I mean, I'm sure there's some shit to unpack there. I'm just going to choose not to. But no, it's funny.
Like going to yoga with Thansha, trying to do any of those, and all of her Thanshas are just like they're in the poses and everything. And I've gone a few times, and a couple of times I'm making noises, but it's usually just grunting out of breath at those things.
Well, that's the cool part about, I think, when you're doing personal development stuff, whether it's breath work, psychedelics, whatever, right? And someone just gets like radical permission to be themselves. I mean, that's a really good point, Lena. Like, yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's totally a mirror right back to myself.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't typically take me off or rub me any particular direction. I'm just like, oh, okay, okay, focus. And then I'm like, oh, man, they are really, all right, we're recenter, and at the end of the day, it typically only bothers you if there's energy behind it,
Yep.
right?
It's in your own shadow.
Mm-hmm. So looking forward, I mean, what's on the horizon for you? Like, are you thinking you're wanting to move towards the direction of like facilitating that and that being a mainstay, or what are some of the things coming up for you?
I don't know. I don't know about mainstay. I feel like for me, it's hard for me to see the path forward or what's next without really having the freedom, like, I'm currently trying to sell. So I think until I have a buyer, until I'm forward in that process, I think that it's hard for me to see kind of a very clear path forward or what's going to happen. And I've been really careful about not just jumping into things for the sake of feeling safe. So I honestly don't know. I definitely want to. I really enjoy it, and I feel like I'd be really good at it. I did a little bit of it at the retreat that I led, like maybe like a 20-minute one, and truly enjoyed it and got really great feedback as well. But yeah, I don't know, and I'm perfectly okay with not knowing.
Yeah, how hard is that, right? For me, anyway, I don't know.
For most people,
it's fucking pretty tough. Being like, you know what? I'm gonna trust the universe. The universe has always got my back if I keep moving forward. Doesn't typically have my back if I don't move forward.
That's yes, it does.
No.
Especially when you're in Arizona, it totally has your back.
I was moving forward, actively doing something about it.
Arizona each time's like, watch this idiot.
Hold my beer.
If I put up gold bill, he'll do it. Let's see.
I will tell you, I mean, here's a crazy thing. Let me see if I can. Give me 1 second. This will actually be a pretty cool moment.
I like how you said too. You were on the trip earlier, and you're like, we wanted to bring out the masculinity of the mountains. Never heard it the mountains put that way. I've hiked them a lot, so I've never heard them that way. Usually you hear like Mother Nature.
I mean, but that's kind of what all of the mountains are. They're the masculine that hold you.
Yeah.
And then the stream that flows between them is the feminine.
Oh, never heard it put that way. That's cool. Definitely dominates me every time I hike them. I know that.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Welcome back home.
I'm not even going to ask questions. I think that was just a beautiful moment that I got to encounter. So this is an antler from after I was done meditating. I was walking back towards, they had like a big gong or something. I don't know how they yodeled us back to the farm center or whatever it was. But as I'm walking back, I come across this antler, and no, I still had a little bit of time before they did the yodel to come back. And I found that antler, and I was like, hey, this is cool. I'm just going to keep it with me. I'm just something, a little totem. I felt very unsafe from some of the little messages that were coming through. Sat down, did a little bit more meditating. For every reason, to pick up a black rock, white rock. And in that last hour of meditating, I realized like I crave certainty. Like most humans, probably very binary, yes or no, black or white, up or down. And one of the messages came through me was like being very comfortable in the uncertainty, in the gray between white and black. And once I'd like kind of hit that message, that tone went off of like, oh, okay, like it's okay to not be okay. It's okay not to necessarily always have the answers. The property we were on asked if I could take some of those crystals and take this antler, and ask Pachamama, hey, if it's okay. And it took this home as a souvenir, as a reminder. Crazy thing is, after Scottsdale, we make the decision to move to Denver. We signed the lease that week, right? I informed my company that I'm leaving, and they're like, hey, is there anything we do to keep you here? And I was like, no, it's the decision, we're going. And the CEO and I are having a conversation. Show up to work that morning. It's my last day. We're walking the parking lot, and there's some woods. There's some nature right by the parking lot. So we go on a little hike together, and we're just talking about, just stuff. What could be done better? What should have been done different? Whatever. Reflecting and looking forward at the same time. I started getting a little emotional, which, I'm sitting here with another man. We're just talking about stuff. Nothing's really emotionally charged, but I realized, hey, this is one of those moments where it feels like I can step into playing big in life, right? And I shit you not, out of the woods comes marching a buck missing an antler. And I was like, this is the coolest full circle moment for me. And so, anyway, I felt like you'd get a kick out of that because
I love that.
sometimes, yeah, it's okay not to know. And if we trust and the universe is going to throw out little signals, I think you always find what you're looking for. But if you trust that I'm going to find the signals, then the universe is going to throw out some pretty big signals too.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
It's okay.
Yeah,
if you
my
don't
head
too.
went to very cartoonish. Like, did you take my Sam Antler? There you are. It's been hunting you down, and like,
Motherfucker.
it
I
finally
followed you all the way.
It finally got you.
Get my scent from Arizona.
It's been coming, and it finally right at that moment. I don't know why. I just imagine just chaos unfolded there.
Finds out I'm moving to Denver, and he's like, "Fuck, dude, I just found you."
I had a message, but now I got to restart. Sorry, that was you were. That was such a
Watch
beautiful
him like knock on your door tomorrow. Like, excuse me,
He's with Lena on the door.
elections.
On the
I'd
door.
be so willing to give that antler back just for like a really quick, like, how'd you learn how to talk? Like, how can I continue? What do you need? You need food, resources, access to the internet? I'll give you whatever you need to continue this relationship.
So just keep taking the mushrooms, man. Like you're on them right now. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot I took those a few hours ago.
Swear it was microdose. Microdose.
What if I need to continue this conversation? Just that slow drip of lysergic diethylene acid into your bloodstream. Just keep that going, and you'll be able to talk to me as much as you want, buddy.
Surprisingly, man, Red Bull. I keep telling everybody.
Oh man, yeah. So yeah, I just think the universe has an interesting way of putting little signals in our path, and so is that what you feel like you're just kind of opening yourself up for? Is just trying different things and seeing what comes up for you?
I think I'm gonna trust myself enough to know that when it is, I'll know and I'll move forward, and we'll see what that is. I think a lot of people.
I think as you got older, you learn to trust your gut feeling more. Like that thing that tell you feel like you should trust it so many times before, and then you didn't. And now as you've gotten older, it feels like radical things, but it's really just your gut feeling. And it's like, hey man, I've been trying to tell you these things the whole time. You finally start trusting it. And that's what it sounds like here too. You're like, I don't know what it's gonna be, but something's telling me to go this direction.
I think also there's like this idea that, those of us who grind and like know how to grind, there's this fear that if you stop for a second, that grind that you have will just go away. Like it's not like a skill, it's this thing that you build up and then it's gone. It's like, no, I know that I know how to work hard. If I need to, I will. But I also am okay to stop right now and just flow with whatever happens and trust that it'll all work out.
It is a scary, at least for me, it's a scary thing to trust, right? Like I feel like there's levels to hustle where in the beginning I didn't know. I knew I wanted to make a lot of money. So I was like, how do I work hard? Like, what do I do? And then I work super hard, get burnt out there. And then I realized, okay, burnout, it's not a real thing. I just wasn't driven enough or had enough clarity. And then you get to that and you're like, well, now I need to work smarter and harder. So it's like, you peel back the layers, but yeah, if you need to take a break or like recenter or refocus, whatever, it's not like you unforget all those layers that you had to move through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so on top of that, what do you feel like were some of the signals that you paid attention to get where you're at currently? Like, because hey, you've started a couple businesses, you decided to do a retreat. What were some of those signals for you that felt right?
So I think when I reflected back on even my journey with Kuman, I realized that the best choices that I've made in my life came from a place of like gut feeling. Like that was totally not logical at all. Like I don't know how to run a business. I'm 26 years old. I just got out of college recently. I have no business skills. I like what? And so I'll also tell you, like my parents were like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, go be a nurse, go be a doctor, go do something that's like finite and like you're most definitely gonna get paid and be really successful in." And I just kind of knew gut feeling wise that like this is what I want, and I just kind of went after it. And I think there were moments of me feeling lost, especially with my relationship to money. Um, but over time, I feel like I really learned who I was. And as I kind of got more into who I am, I realized things that I wanted to create in this world. Like I felt like the things that I went after were things that I felt were missing. So, like, one of the things was I felt like all of the networking type events that I've been to were empty. Like I felt like I was so like unfulfilled when I left them. And I also feel like there needs to be a space where we can talk about these things and we don't have to, wear a mask and be professional in that way. Right. So it's almost like the same kind of space that you've created here, I wanted in the real world with like a big group of people. And I think as I learned more about me, it really was like places from a gut feeling that I just was like, this is the thing, this is what it's going to look like. And I just kind of knew exactly what I wanted. And times where I had no idea were times where I wasn't aligned.
Yeah, I agree. The reason I asked that question is because I think for people that are listening that either like want to open up their own business or in a place of uncertainty, kind of going with that theme of like the universe giving signals, like Dylan said, like I think the older we get, the more we learn to like trust our gut feeling. Like you could look at all the data in the world and go, something smells off, right? Even if it's like totally on paper, like makes sense, jump, go for it. But if your gut feeling isn't behind it, and I think the inverse is true as well, right? Like where you know yourself well enough to know, like even if there's a whole shot of a chance, there's a 15% chance that this works. Like I know I'll be one of the 15% because I'll give it everything I've got, and I've got enough to make it happen, right? So I don't know.
I
I
think
was just curious.
along with that too, I think though goes, Lena, what you were talking about earlier. You're like, a lot of us that have that hustle and drive, we feel like you're going to lose it. But I think a lot of us that know that have the hustle and drive also know that when we get to a certain point, and I feel like you saw this when you were going to these networking events, because I think I felt the same way. Everyone's trying to do the same bullshit at these networking events. And I went to a mentor for a little bit and brought that up to him. He was like, yeah, I don't know why people go to these networking events. If you want to actually network with somebody, go to some event that you like going to. He goes, go to art shows. There's free art shows out there everywhere. You're going to meet because you're going to talk to someone about the art, and then you're going to spark conversation, and you're going to meet people out there from different walks of life, right? Go to a sporting event, go to something else. Don't put $25 to go to this drinking event, that you're going to be sitting in a room doing, spend $25 to go to this other event. But along with that, is like, okay, you understand that, all right, I'm a hustler, I've gotten to this point, I know from here below I can hustle and get to easily. I can, if this doesn't work out going forward, I can come back and hustle to this point and then take another leap, right? I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm bored now. And that's what I've always thought too, is when I go and make leaps, I go, all right, like I know I'll hustle everybody up to this point in my life. I have plenty of fallbacks. I'll be a garbage man if I have to and work my way out of it. Whatever it takes, I know I can do it. And I feel like that's what you're seeing too, is like I can trust in myself to where if it doesn't work out in this particular situation, I'll fall back. I'll hustle everybody up to that point again and then take another leap. I'll keep doing it until it works out. Whereas a lot of people, I think, are scared to do that and not realizing like, oh, it's a one-time thing and it'll happen. It has to happen one time, not realizing like most successful people have taken multiple leaps in their life, unless you're Mark Zuckerberg and you're a lucky asshole. But like, most people are taking multiple leaps in their life to get where they want to be.
I think too, like what you said about being bored, I think is so understated, because that's the whole reason that I'm leaving what I'm doing. I'm bored. I feel like I already know how to do it. And now it's time for me to keep growing. And that growth will mean that, I'm going to have to fail and I'm going to have to try things out, and maybe it won't be the right thing for me. But I think there's also this idea of like comfortability where you get so just like cool where you're at that you don't take that risk for that next leap.
I just want to really underscore what you said there, Dylan, well, the both of you, around like the networking events, because that was so true. Like if you go to somewhere, went to a buddy with the Nuggets game the other night, and I think you'll get a kick out of this. Because I'm kind of half deaf, I do scream a lot. I don't mean to. I just talk at a loud volume. Okay. Turns out the guy sitting next to my buddy is a member of Go Abundance. And Tyler's like, I'm so glad I brought you, because now I'm getting to meet all the people around me that I haven't met all season. But you talk like a fucking megaphone. So naturally, but that's just a great example of like, here's a guy that's like actively in this group that I'm a part of, that if I would have gone to like a networking event, probably never would have had a conversation with, never would have realized that, right? You go to something that you have like-minded interest in, you put yourself in the right position. Like we're not in the nosebleeds, we're in good seats. So the people around us probably can afford good stuff in life. You meet people that maybe nothing comes out of it, maybe something, but some of the networking events, man, it's like chum in the water. You can smell everyone's like, how can you help me get what I want? And maybe I can help you.
Yeah, that's a purgatory to me. That's what I felt like when it's trying to move up. I was like, this is purgatory in business world, trying to move up.
It really
right?
is. This is the worst.
And it's the people that realize like, I got to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
I think I like went and hid in the bathroom for like a good chunk of the first one that I ever went to, because I was like, this is not okay. This sucks.
Yeah.
The last time I went to one, it's where I finally was kind of starting to click. The last one I went to that, they were like, well, what do you do? And it was like, it doesn't really fucking matter, man. I'm here to drink, eat this cheese, and I guess have a beer or two. And they're like, and then once I would say that, most people outside of this would get a laugh out of it. They would just realize like, this person's not going to help me. And then they would walk away. And I was like, yeah, I got to get out of this situation.
Yeah. I did that. I wouldn't say at the last event, but one of the last events I went to, I was like serious about getting business, and really good things came out of it. But I remember getting a club soda with a lime, and the guy next to me was like, what are you doing, man? Like, we're here to drink. And I was like, I'm here to make money. I just remember giving him that look. I was like, I'm here to make money, not friends. And he was like, I'm like, I get it. Get hammered. Have fun. It's Tuesday.
Not me though.
Yeah. Some of those can be nauseating, but no, it's a good point. I mean, I think on the path to whether it's business or self-discovery, regardless, I think one thing I get irritated to talk about the mirror, I get really irritated myself when we go to like personal development things like we did in Scottsdale or coming up in May, etc. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about my fucking feelings. Like, give me the answers, let me implement them. But the reality is I don't need more answers. Like I have a bookshelf full of fucking answers. I have an Audible full of answers. I have a YouTube full of answers. I have all the answers. It's running away from the stuff that I don't want to talk about that needs to come out.
Which are the feelings?
I really don't want that to be the answer, though.
I'm sorry. I think we need to step away from this idea that like, if you say the right thing, you'll close the sale. If you do the right thing, and because it's so much of like people being successful is the energy that they have. You know what I mean? Like those people who are so thirsty for a sale, you're like, ew, go, like, ew. And then those who are, you're like, damn, you're like so charismatic. I will totally invest with you, even though I don't know if your stuff works or not. You're just so bought into the person. So I feel like we have this idea that we come from a place of like rules and logic and everything is so, by the book. When the reality is, most of the time, it's just you have a good feeling about a person, you like that person, and like that's enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we listened with my team, one of the guys the other day, we were listening back to a client call, and I don't know whatever point we were making. He was like, Colton, you remember what you told that client? He's like, that was a great line. He's like, do you use that one a lot? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. And so he brought up a scenario, and it was just whatever run around the guy was trying to give us. I was like, hey, man, just want to be clear. Like, do you want to move forward with this? Like, I'm not trying to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I'm just trying to figure out, is this a good fit? Like, should we pursue trying to decide how this is going to work? And the guy didn't know how to react. I was like, I'm not trying to get you. Okay.
That's what it sounded like. The same. I'm working with a guy right now. Last year, I saved this guy like $180,000 in like moving over to us, and then he decided to stick with his company. Right, that he was, instead of going with us, he comes back this year wanting to get a review. He gets declined for his medical and all that. Gets pissed off, and then like I'm like, oh, we can look at this other option. He's like, well, if you're not gonna do it, and I go, hey man, I'm gonna just be pretty frank with you here. If you want to go somewhere else, you're saving me time, dude. I already saved you $180,000, and you decide to go somewhere else. We want smart business owners, not like what you did. All right. So if you want to continue down this path, I'm more than happy to go down it with you. But I just want to let you know, you already are in a place where we're disqualifying you already in this situation, and we're looking at potentially bringing them on soon. It's just like when you're not, like you said, Lena, when you're not like, trying to fall to their little tricks, and they realize like, oh, I'm working with someone that's been doing this a while. It's a lot more. But again, though, too, you can't get to that position until you go through the like, and you got to follow the book on everything for sales, because you got to learn it at first. But they know that they're trying to get through the people to find the person that's been through it all already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what you're saying, Lena, too, though, is just the embodiment, right? The ditching the charisma, ditching the script. And I think there's a place and time for results where hey, following a proven process is important, but more than anything, it's feeling the energy behind the words, right? The human connection.
Which is scary, because it's like you can't quantify that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an intangible, especially in the business world. Like, that's one of the things that I love about joining different groups, meeting different connections. At the end of the day, it's difficult to articulate if you resonate with someone and why. You just say like, hey, this is a great person. I think you'd love them, etc. Right? Follow through probably has a lot to do with that, but it's just the intangibles at the end of the day. So, so one of the things that I'm trying to really kind of articulate here is just making the subconscious conscious, right? For you, you've tried and tested and moved into a lot of arenas that I find are really admirable. It's difficult to want to put yourself in that position, especially if you, like you mentioned earlier, like family pressure of like, hey, pick a path that's already proven and go down that. Like, I know what that feeling feels like, but speaking to the intangibles, speaking to the things that are difficult to articulate. I mean, you kind of look back in this conversation a little bit forward. What's helping you stay present and grounded? Like, are there any tools, strategies, techniques, books, thought leaders that you find yourself routinely gravitating towards to just feel like, hey, my feet are planted in the ground right now while I'm trusting the universe?
I don't think I struggle with staying grounded unless I find myself in scarcity or like spiraling about something happening. And I feel like with practice, I've gotten really good at being like, no, like that's just my brain spiraling right now. That's not actually how I feel. And I think for me, some of the practices is like breath work, where I really feel like I've been able to connect with myself. But really also like getting to a point where I can trust how I feel and being like, I feel really weird. Why do I feel this way? And it's like, oh, because I'm around these people who I don't like, or, I'm in a place where I feel like I've outgrown it. and really like diving into why do I feel this way and trusting that there's a reason that I do, rather than what I used to do, which was shove it down and like blame it on something wrong with me. Like I'd question how I feel all of the time, and I'd be like, "Oh, but do I really feel that way?" No, and it's almost like this decisiveness that I've practiced where I could be wrong and that's okay, but like this is how I feel and this is my truth and it is what it is, and I'm willing to die on that hill.
I like that. I like that.
So I don't know.
No, it's okay. I was just picturing you going, no. It's like,
I mean, you've seen me. I'm really
Yeah.
direct. I'm just like, yeah, that's not for me. Have fun with that. Bye. Like,
Well, I think that's just a part of like self-awareness, right? If there's one thing that I feel like is as close as can be to a superpower, it's probably self-awareness and just being like radically honest with yourself about that. I have a client call, actually, after I get off of this. One of the things we were talking about in previous weeks, something about happiness or negotiating his contract. I don't remember exactly, what the context was, but what the outcome was defining what really makes him happy. I was like, if you can define what you actually want, and it's not chasing earning 300 grand a year, that might be it. But is it really you want the freedom to travel? Is it that you really want to feel like you're advancing? Like, if the feeling comes from the freedom token, cool. If it's directly tied to the freedom coupons, sweet. If there's a faster path to that doesn't involve you having to navigate all this shit, like, highly encourage you pursue that too, right? So all that to say, it's sometimes very difficult to be explicit, which maybe is your innate superpower of being self-aware and knowing what you do and don't like.
I think I've had to get here. I don't think I was born this way.
It wasn't
But I
Maybelline?
do feel like what?
What? Maybe it's Maybelline? You weren't born with it?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so. I feel like I was scared to be direct, as direct as I am, for a long time, because it's like, you can say some shit that like really offends people. And you're like, wow, should I have been that honest?
Yeah.
But then it's like, but that's my truth and you don't have to agree with me, and that's okay.
Do you think people actually want honesty?
Some people do.
Do you?
I think a lot of people think when they're offended, it's really just the truth hurts.
I totally agree with that.
I remember doing that too, Lena, when I was being more direct with people, and then I started thinking I was offending people, and I was like, no, I was just telling you that's what honesty feels like.
There's a call that I had with this guy. Oh my God, this was like probably a year ago. And he got off the phone with me because I'm like, I feel like you're like trying to be like somebody else and it's not you. And, I just gave him a very honest reflection of what I saw happening. And he got really pissed at me. He's like, okay, well, I have to go now. Bye. Like, okay, bye. And a year later, he was on a retreat with the same guy that I said he's trying to be like. And I guess he realized that what I said was actually right, because then I got a text message and he's like, I couldn't handle it at the time, but what you said was so accurate. And like, thank you for telling me that. And I was like, damn, yeah.
I went on a trip with Aubrey Marcus. For sure.
Basically.
Just looked up, find himself rubbing his nipples at one point and went, damn. She was right.
Fucking Moose and the Antler.
How many people probably come to that realization he did? Like, I'm not trying to be like, they're out in the woods somewhere. Oops.
Man, that is the thing, though, that is so true about hearing the truth. If you hear that thing in the back of your head where you're like, nah, it's not that bad, or I'm not doing blank, whatever, subtle or not, I mean, sometimes that's just a tough thing to wrangle with. it's like, fuck. My wife can hit me with the best of them too, and in a gentle way where I'm like very receiving to it. But even if you have someone that you love, knows has your best intention in mind, and is delivering the message softly and with grace, still, you can be like, fuck you. Want to walk out of the room. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it hurts, but that's okay. That's what we all need. So, hey, as we are kind of like landing the proverbial plane here, any closing thoughts? Fun mental exercises, tugging at the back of the frontal cortex, or
I think the only thing that comes to mind based on what you said was it's the truth and it slaps you in the face, but it also forces you to deal with it because now it's right in front of you. So like be offended, be mad for a little bit, but then like really be like, damn, like I guess it's time to deal with this. And also just like going back to what we talked about with people who breathe really loudly. I think that's a really good thing to look at is like what things around the world in life really piss me off. And I don't mean like not, moving shopping carts back to their place that they need to be, which that ticks me off so badly. And the reason that it does is because like here are people being careless and I don't let myself be careless, where are the ways that the people around you allow themselves to do something that you won't allow yourself to do? Where are you not giving yourself the permission, or where are you not loving that part of you that actually wants to do that?
that's it. Right after this, I'm definitely going out in public and picking my nose. I'm doing it immediately.
Scream really loudly.
Well, thank you, Lena, for coming on and joining us. If you have any socials that you want to plug?
Sure. At Lena Dubo, LenaDubo on Instagram. That's where I post the most.
Oh, I meant like your social security number, but that works too.
Oh, no.
All right, cool.
I don't have one. I'm Russian.
Facts.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I don't know how that side of the government works. Well, hey, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, we have a little bit, again, of a thought leader series coming up. So stay tuned. Coming weeks, you'll have a little bit of professionalism, a little bit of woo, and whatever's in the middle, a lot of that coming at you. So we love you guys. See you next week. I like that rhyme.